Hello, everyone, and welcome to the JT
and the Jersey Jewel Show.
How are you guys? How are you, John?
Why? What did you hear again? It makes me very nervous.
Listen, I hear everything. I just want you to know.
I used to do that to my son. You know, he'd go down to the park or something, and one of his buddies' moms or dads would be buzzing by, and you know, I'd see him uptown and say, "Hey, I saw Jack down there playing ball, and then him and so-and-so were over by the pond, and, you know, one of his other buddies was doing a little fishing there. I didn't know he fished." And I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah, you know." And so Jack, 2 hours later, "Jack, so I heard you were playing ball and doing a little fishing. How'd you know?" I'm like, "I've got eyes all over this town,
We
son.
know everything.
We know. I know every move you make." I didn't, but I mean, he's like, "Oh."
So we have a really cool guest today.
That's what I hear.
All right, and the reason why I wanted to interview this young man was we're paying back.
Thank you.
He interviewed me.
Oh, you're not talking about me.
Which was great. No, I'm not talking about you.
Damn it.
But his story is so cool. And as a mom, I just think what he is doing at his young age is absolutely incredible.
Okay, I'll buy that. We did a little preview, you and I, and
right.
yeah, I'm not a mom. Clearly, I'm a dad. I mean, I've been called a mother. I got to tell you that more than once in my life. But we won't finish the statement. Hey, you. Okay, thank you. Yes, I am. Go ahead. Let's introduce the.
This guy right
professional
here,
online.
I call him DJ Kayden.
Yeah.
His name is Kayden Gordon. And he is
The man with the 2
18
first
years old
names.
and has his own radio station, does all these incredible things, and he started as a young teenager. Kayden, say hello to everybody.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me.
This is so cool. I'm going to ask one question, and then we'll have John ask you because I just have to. All right? Tell everyone how old you were when you started and what made you want to do that so young.
Oh, sure. So I started being involved in the industry at 14 years old. And what made me want to do it is, you know, I was always listening to the radio, close enough radio station about an hour from me called Country 102.5, which is in Boston, Massachusetts. And I've always loved that interaction between the DJs, and I would always call up and request a song, and they would play it, and it made me start to think, like, how exactly does this work? So I kind of just happened to be scrolling through Facebook one day, and I just happened to just look up radio stations, and I kind of just discovered internet radio, and then I found a station, and the rest is history from there. I mean, they were so open to let me kind of volunteer and, you know, kind of get the door open, and that's how it was done.
So cool. Take it away, babes.
Well, and there's kindred semi-spirits here, kid. And I have to tell you, you know, you growing up outside of a major market, I too grew up outside of the major market, New York City, number one. And forgive me, I don't recall what number market Boston is, but it's a big market. I've got friends of mine, fraternity brothers, who after college moved up there and said, "John, you really ought to be up here because these guys, you're every bit as good as these guys, if not then some." And this is like 35, 40 years ago. I know that listening to the radio growing up here in north central New Jersey, that the New York City guys, I wanted to be the guys on then music radio, WABC, and 66 WNBC, both played music, and that was the stuff to listen to. How did you gravitate toward country, or today's best country, or however you want to classify it? What drew you to that, other than you listened to it, but what drew you to that?
So what drew me to that? I was always kind of surrounded by country music. My parents really had it playing in the background, and that is pretty much how it got started and how I got introduced to country music.
Well, that makes sense. That makes a whole lot of
Because
sense.
again, young people who love country music, right? It's a little different.
Well,
It's amazing.
now having worked in the country music format and in sales and management almost exclusively since 1987, I will say this about that. Even going back to the mid late 80s, people would have this stigma about, oh, country people, I don't want to advertise on your station because I don't know that country people, I heard it all. They don't have nice things, they don't wear nice clothes, they don't get their teeth fixed and all this kind of thing. And it's patently incorrect. It's if you really listen, and maybe you've noticed this, Kayden, if you really listen to any of the country music from, say, Dwight Yoakam circa 1987 to Zach Brown Band right now, there are underpinnings, and a lot of them, of the early, if not the more than early rock and roll. There's a lot of it, and it's good. I was telling a friend of mine who was not a country person. Matter of fact, we had her on here about a month ago. I mentioned to her that, country music is good, and the reason I did is because she's going for an interview on a country station out here in Western Michigan. So, what kind of the music? Enough about all this nonsense. Tell me what kind of specific music do you like within the format?
Yeah.
Wow, great question. You couldn't have said it better. For me, I like a little bit of everything. For me, I've liked a lot of Luke Bryan stuff. I've always been a big fan of him.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked, I do like Zach Brown Band too.
Good.
And some of the older stuff, I do like Reba McEntire a lot.
Oh, cool.
And also Dolly Parton. So my country tastes are kind of all over the place, and I'm very familiar with, kind of widespread, especially being in the industry and kind of learning about other artists that I probably would have never learned about if I wasn't doing what I do.
How far back would you go musically? Because I remember first having an affinity for country music when there was one station out of New York City on AM, of course. It was 1050, the old WHN, and it was, Lee Arnold, Del DeMontro. Lee Arnold was Eddie Arnold's brother, by the way, old country singer, classic country singer. And they played the New York Mets ball games, which is why I listened to them, because I'm a Mets fan. But the CB radio craze of like 1975 is what really first drew me in, and then it was the urban cowboy stuff in the very, very early 80s, and on and on and on. What do you find that you like most, or what do you find that people who listen like the most?
Okay, great question.
Absolutely. So what I think is most important in country music is the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And when I have people on my show all the time, I hear this constantly, and I couldn't agree with it more. And the reason why I say it like that is because it's one of those things where that's what is supposed to be country music. And yes, of course, some of the country pop is good, but it's not telling a story. And that takes away the true meaning of country music. So I would have to definitely say the storytelling.
So, wait, I have a question now. So that's interesting how you
Sure.
just explained that, because I'm the first one to say I never loved country music way back. I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't this huge fan. And I started loving country as more pop came in.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I don't even understand that part, or that didn't matter to me. I like the sound. But it's interesting. Now I'm going to be listening with a different ear now based on what you just said. So I have a question for you. I love asking my entertainers the same questions about this. And you're young, so you might not really be able to answer what they could have. Have you met anyone in the industry that really, was a huge influence on you? Or who would you love to meet?
Great question. As of right now, I have not really met anyone super big. Of course, there's plans in the books that I will be going to Nashville soon. I don't know when, but we're working on it. But if I had to choose somebody that I'd love to meet, That's a good question. There's a lot of people
Sure.
just in the independent side of things and the country side of things. That's a really, you stumped me on that one.
Okay, well, if you figure it out, you text me, okay? Because I still want to know
I
the
will.
answer.
I will.
Okay, one more question from me right now. So, in the
Sure.
industry, was there anyone that really, truly made a huge impact on you with your musical career as far as loving the country music? And not the people you mentioned. I mean, someone that really made an impact, maybe a family member, someone, a friend or something. Who impacted your life most?
Honestly, I think one of the things that I would say is probably John Graham, who is my producer.
Okay.
And I say that because, we have a really good working business relationship. And I will tell you that there was some other relationships, business relationships that I had previously into working towards this. Because as you know, you can't do this alone. At least you got to have one other person that can kind of somewhat help you
Sure.
to get where you needed to be and kind of guide you in the right direction. And he was that person. So I think a lot of it I do owe credit to him for sure.
Beautiful.
Got to tell you, I mean, I don't know if you can swing it there, Kayden, but June 11th June 8th through June 11th is Fanfare, the CMA Fan Fest, as it's now called as well. That's where all the stars come out to play in country down in Nashville. It's going to be a big event. I think they're going to have it, a good bit of it at Nissan Stadium, which is where the Tennessee Titans play football and so forth. I mean, I'm looking here, and there's going to be quite a few people. Darius Rucker, Zach Brown Band, Winona Judd, Cole Swindell, Billy Ray Cyrus, Dirk Bentley, and on and on. Lady A, Lady Antebellum, for those of you who are not up on their abbreviated new name. The reason I point that out, hold on a minute, let me think a second. 1989, I was at a station in State College, Tyrone, Pennsylvania, WGMR, and big stick. I mean, run like a bunch of nuts, but it was a big stick, and it was very popular in spite of itself. And the one afternoon talent, he went down to Fanfare, and Garth Brooks was a nobody. It was a next to nobody. He had Much Too Young to Be This Damn Old was his first hit, and it was just coming up. And he got to the airport, and son of a bee, if it wasn't Garth Brooks who was sick, can I help you with your bag, sir? So you never know. I mean, again, this is now 34 years ago, but you just never know who the next Garth Brooks / up and comer might be at Fanfare / CMA Fest. Again, June 8th through the 11th. And it's only 112 days, 17 hours, and 5 seconds to go. So, book early, book often, but for God's sakes, Kayden, will you please book it?
That's cool. That's cool.
I would if I didn't already have something else going on.
Oh,
that
all
is super
right.
exciting.
Well, you got that Yawning
It
Festival
does
coming?
have to do with country music.
I was going to say, is it the Yawning Festival coming to town, or how's that working out? No, maybe, no.
So I was actually invited to do cover a Thomas Rhett concert that weekend in Connecticut. So
right.
that's
Very
where
cool.
I'll be there.
Very cool.
So I'm super excited about that.
Well, here's the good news there, son. The event is now, it's been on hiatus for a couple years for all those reasons, which need not be discussed. It's now back in swinging again. So if you can't do it this year,
Great.
man, tell you what, look at 2024. Right. It won't be a bore. I'm going to tell you. You're going to want to have some more.
So, Kayden, how many platforms are you on?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good question. So I am on over 100 stations. So my show syndicates out to all those stations. And so it's hard to be at one place at once. So I decided to start syndicating the show, and then everyone that takes it will just get it each week.
Very cool.
That's outstanding. Now I'm going to ask you a business-related question because that's what I do for 35 years. When you have this, because I'm sure that there are other people out there, whether it's country, whether it's pop, whether it's R&B, whether it's blues, whether it's jazz, whether it's what, who are interested in, and or doing kind of what you're doing. How are you able to monetize this and get a little something, for the effort? I mean, without getting into detail, I mean, because I don't necessarily need to know your secret sauce, but the basics. I mean, if there's something happening, how does that unfold?
Okay, this is another great question. You guys are hitting great questions at me.
We've
I
been
would
doing
say
this for a
that
minute.
a lot of it has to go with sponsorships,
Yeah.
with different stations. And currently, I am now running my own promotions company. I am currently working with over 50 plus artists.
Nice.
And so those are the two big things, without going into super detail, that I've been working on.
Do you do a
to
lot of
kinda big a little bit.
do you do much, if any, or a lot of independent artists that are looking for some love?
Absolutely. I At first I didn't know much about regular country. Sorry, I didn't know much about independent music.
Yeah.
So once I started getting into this industry, particular online radio, I've kind of started getting submissions, and I just had a soft heart for them. Knowing that they do everything on their own, they are inspiring, and and that's when I started doing interviews, and a lot of them wanted to do interviews with me, and I think I've done probably over 1,000 interviews in the last 4 years.
Well, and
unreal.
that's robust and
Beautiful.
outstanding, and I ask you that for A, for curiosity, and B, because we here at Hamilton Radio, Hamilton Media, we devote Tuesdays very heavily to indie artists, and it matters not the format. It matters not whether they're death metal or whether they're classic country or country. It doesn't matter. And the other thing of it is too, I may have somebody that you may or may not. I mean, but it's worth a shot, and we can discuss this at some other point, perhaps. But you can collaborate with who is also doing a right now. It's a monthly. It's going to soon be a twice a monthly indie artist spotlight type of a show. Her name is Sue Bloom, and she does the infamous Sue Bloom show, second and fourth Tuesdays of the month with us, and she is all about the indie artists because she is one. She is one. She's got an album. She's got 10 or 12 cuts from the album that we play on the station here. People seem to like it, and you know what? There may be some collaborative efforts in the works between Kayden Gordon and Sue Bloom. You just never know.
You never know. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Very
Keep it in the
cool.
family. You know what I mean, sir?
Yes, absolutely.
So, Kayden, what else would you like to tell us about what's happening with your career?
Oh, that's a good question.
We got tons of them. It's true.
I mean, I do a lot in the. I do a lot. So, like I said, I do promotion. I have been writing right now. It's more like when I can, but I am writing for my own magazine, and I also write for the Nashville Country Music Magazine out of Nashville. On
Nice.
top of that, I'm also taking college classes with Worcester State University. Getting my degree for communications. So
Very
that's
cool.
Super exciting. Let's see. Is there anything else that is super exciting?
Well, wait. Let's talk about that a spec. So,
Sure.
I love that you're in college for communications, obviously. Okay, I think that's really cool, especially with what you're doing. Okay, so now with your magazine, how did you get your own magazine? I want one. Tell me.
So I actually found this third party called MagCloud, and so they let you kind of just you can design a magazine right through them, and they help you ship it and everything. It's awesome. You upload it, people can buy off the. I'll give you the link after. so
You need to give me
buy
all
it.
the info, young man.
What you mentioned the name of the outfit. What was it called again?
The name of the what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the
company.
magazine company, so to speak.
So mine is Kayden Gordon Magazine, the Kayden Gordon Magazine, and the Nashville one is Nashville Country Music Magazine.
Nice.
But
And-
the company that the third party that helped you get
Yes.
yours, what is the name of that?
Yes. MagCloud.
Mac. Cloud.
Mag, M-A-G?
Mag.
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 Yes.
M-A-G, man. What do you mean Mac? Mag.
Mac tonight, Mac the Knife, Mackie Sasser, catcher for the Mets. I mean, come on.
Very cool. All right, I'm going to be having a magazine, baby. Don't be an ass magazine. Watch. Oh, yeah.
That'll be a big seller. Admonishing people before they even pick it up. Don't be an ass. Okay, sorry. I make no promises.
Oh, my gosh. So what else? What are your platforms that you can tell people how if they want to get in touch with you?
Sure. I'm all over social media. I am on Kayden Gordon on Facebook. If you want to find out the show, it's called the Kayden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. You can find me on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter at Kayden Show, and Instagram at the.Kayden Gordon Show. And you can go to my website where all the information is, where you can hear my show. And if you want to learn more about how I can help you as an artist for promotions, you can go there as well. If you guys wanted to donate, you'd never have to, but there's also a couple options to help keep the show going. Anything is appreciated but never expected, and more that's on the website. So the best way that you can get a hold of me is on my website, thekaydengordonshow.com. KaydenGordon.
So now I have a silly question for you that means something to me. So,
Okay.
Growing up, and again, you're young, but still, growing up, we all have that one song that just resonates with us, right? That,
Right.
like, if we hear it, we're just like, oh, that's my song.
Yeah, that takes me back
Yes.
to whatever the time.
Do you have that song?
Yes, I do.
Tell us.
I would say that my childhood song is Luke Bryan, I See You.
Oh, that's
Because
beautiful.
that was one of my favorite songs. And I remember when I was young, I actually, I think it was like a karaoke thing, and I think I sang that song when I was like super young. So yes, I would say that song.
Does your family, your parents, do they support what you're doing?
Absolutely. To the
That
fullest.
helps, right? That helps.
Well, and not for anything, Kayden. I mean, the three of us here and the others of us here at Hamilton Radio and folks like you, I mean, we all do this work. I mean, really, we're not like lifting paper boards all day, breaking our backs. But I mean, we do this work that we do that, quite frankly, and I'm sure you've heard this from whether it's friends, relatives, colleagues, co-students, what have you. Oh, I could never do that, what you do. Well, okay, and you know what? I could never do probably what you do.
That's right.
I've known people who have said that, and I've said it back, and they don't think of it like that. They just know what they know, and I say that to say that yeah, it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile. I don't care if you're 18 or 58. Okay, like me. Okay, I've got 40 years on you, but you know what? That's immaterial. It's absolutely immaterial because we're all basically going toward the same beacon, but from a slightly different angle, And I got to tell you, Kayden, if I had these gizmos, 40 years ago, I'd have never left the basement. I'd have had a whole thing set up, man. The whole Megillah, the whole setup, the whole deal, the whole what. I would have, college schmollege. I would have just, I would have been the boss jock and the mega mother. Everybody going broadcasting wall to wall and treetop tall with the Ayatollah of rock and roll, #1 and getting higher all the time. But that was 40 years ago, and I didn't have that. I had to go to college to get on the radio, man, and I did. So good for you. I'm so glad to know that there are folks out there, especially the next generation's worth of people, because we lose people every day to retirement and otherwise.
Right.
There's been so many great radio folks through the years that they've either had enough. I don't know what you know about the radio landscape nowadays, but it ain't like it used to be.
Well, rest in peace, Don K. Reed, who I was honored to interview.
Yeah.
He started it all. I mean, he started Cousin Brucey. Don K. Reed just passed away less than a year ago, and he was the greatest of the greatest. He started this back then. So, right?
There's him and all
Amazing.
kinds of folks,
Yeah.
So good for you. So you've got magazine, you've got all kinds of different platforms, media. You've got the hard copy media, you've got the electronic soft copy media, so to speak. What's next? What do you think? How do you like it?
Well, what I would like to see next is to be able to first go to Nashville, meet some people, and start actually making some in-person connections.
Nice.
I've made a lot of virtual connections, and I think I'm ready for the next step to be able to start sitting down with people and hopefully land a job, a full-time job, and not like a freelance thing somewhere in the industry. I thought about originally first being a DJ, like as like a full-time job, but then I thought about it and I'm like, people are getting like let go left and right. So always having a backup plan is important. So I've kind of dived into others' assets of the media. So I have a lot in store. I might be a PR person. I might be managing someone one day really big. I have a lot of hopes and things that I think can really make a difference. And I think, me being in a generation that, not many people do what I do. A lot of kids are sitting on their video games 6 hours plus a day.
Right.
And it's no communication at all. Well, yes, you're online, but this is completely different. And it's just important to remember that side of things too.
Well, I'm so happy you're doing what you're doing. That's why I was thrilled to, first of all, be interviewed by you, and now we're interviewing you because of what you're doing at such a young age. I'm just so impressed. I'm so happy for you that somebody's doing more than just playing on video games, right?
Well, here, I mean, it's, not to sound like my my Grammy or even my mother and dad, but,
Here he goes. He's going to sound like them.
But my father used to always, he'd come home from work, and he worked in New York City, and it was a schlep. He was up early. He had to take the bus and or train or taxi downtown and, chase Manhattan Bank. There's that one shot of lower Manhattan where there's that building that looks like a great big step. Well, that's the building he worked in. And he wouldn't get home till 6:30, 7 o'clock at night till we're sitting down at dinner, and he'd sit there and say, "So, what constructive did you do today?"
Yes.
And I'm like, hell if I know. What do you want from me? I'm in high school. I went to school. I went to football practice. It's enough, all right? No, what did you do? It's not. You have to do something constructive. Right. What are you going to do with? And I have to tell you, Kayden, at 18, I was hard pressed to know really what I wanted to do. I had an idea, and that's why I went where I went to school, because of the broadcast facilities and the communications department. But man, I tell you what, to have somebody, in your position doing what you do and having the outlook that you have,
Amazing.
I'm going to be very interested to see how things unfold for you, because Tom Petty said it, man, the future is wide open, and you talk about being in touch virtually. I am going to click the add friend button on Kayden Gordon right this second out of my John Common Ground Thelon page, because that's the name of my other show, Common Ground. So look for that, and you know what? I'll be glad to hear from you from time to time. And like I say, if we can bang the drum with others who are, of the same ilk or this indie artist business, I tell you what, again, the future is wide open. It's very wide open.
So I want to share something that's happening at Hamilton Radio that's really cool.
Here we go.
So Kayden knows, everyone out there, I'm the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass. So I wrote this book in 2016 and revised it in 2020. And Simon & Schuster published it, and I never wanted to do an audiobook because this is a very passionate book. It's my story. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want someone else's voice reading it. Well, we are now doing audiobooks right here in Hamilton Radio.
Correct.
And my book is being done now. So the audio part is all done, and it's me speaking, okay? And we're revising it. It's going to be incredible. So if anyone out there is interested, please reach out. You can reach out to me, Jerry Petito, Hamilton Radio. We're doing books now with your voice, okay? So reach out to us, because it's one cool thing that's happening here.
Well, and again, as things, and what this could very possibly mean for someone like yourself, Kayden Gordon, is that, as things unfold, whether it's next week, next month, next year, what have you, And there are similar opportunities. Doesn't need to be the same thing. There are so many things that, are doable, certainly from your perspective and out of this facility as well, to where, the partnerships, the collaborative efforts are just endless. So as things continue to unfold, grow, burgeon, use whatever word you want, you know what? Let's keep the lamp lit, because you just never know.
You never know. We have a few
No.
minutes, Kayden. We have a few minutes, so I don't want you to forget to say anything important that you say, oh, I really wanted to say this and I forgot. The mic is yours, young man. What would you like to say to everyone listening?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to thank everyone for their support. The support means a lot to me because, without it, it would be very hard to do my job. So thank you to everyone who's been on the journey and continues to be on the journey. And we're gonna make something big happen, and we already have, but we're gonna continue to make something big. And to anyone that's out there, follow your dreams, follow your passions, because you never know what's gonna come next for you.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
There you have it.
I want to personally thank you, Kayden, for honoring us today with this interview. Again, I think you're an incredible young man, and I've been talking about you to everyone. And you're going to be interviewing Michael D'Amore. He's like family to me, one of the greatest singers, right under Elvis, baby, right under Elvis. So when he heard how old you are and what you're doing, he was like, heck yeah, Jerry, we'll give him an interview. So, okay, I'm so proud of you, Kayden. I mean, beautiful young man.
Yeah.
What would you like to say?
And here's the thing. I mean, I'll shill for you for a second, Kayden, because, why not? And of course, this is what we do. First of all, now you're in. Your family, okay? So your Uncle John says, guess what? Get yourselves, folks, online and log on to www.thekaydengordonshow, all one word, Kayden Gordon, thekaydengordonshow.com. It is today's best country mix. Why? Because it says so right there on the damn page.
I love it.
It must be true. It's on the internet. But in all seriousness, there's all sorts of stuff you can check out. I mean, there's the tabs that this website has, ladies and gentlemen. It's like he knows what he's doing, which of course he does. I mean, it's the homepage, the featured artists, promotions, the magazine, artists, merchandise. To donate $1 or $3 every now and again. Events. There's a chat room. There's the radio. There's guest book. You can sign the guest book and chime in. Also the schedule for where you can hear things, and of course the listen tab. Listen after you're done listening to Hamilton Radio on hamiltonradio.net, by the way. The red arrow for the U.S. listeners and the blue arrow for the international listeners. Take a pop on over to thekaydengordonshow.com. One more time, thekaydengordonshow.com. I'm thinking you're going to be happy you did.
That's beautiful. So, Kayden, our show, the JT and the Jersey Jewel Show, other than our incredible guest today, you, it's usually a show about nothing. Okay? That's our little logo here. Okay?
It's like the Seinfeld of radio.
Yes. So, would you like to share some nothing with us? I'm sure you've prepared for this.
This just in, there's news of the unusual from the You Can't Make This Up department. Last July 8th, a 32-year-old burglary suspect by the name of Grant Davis Belcher, pardon me, sorry. He was caught in his getaway car with a baby alligator, it says here, in the back seat. Thought you'd like the alligator.
Okay.
Yeah. Says also that the incident began about 2:30 in the morning. Witnesses stated they spotted Grant lurking, even skulking about a parked Ford F-350 pickup located in Sandy Creek Lane in Orange County, Florida. He allegedly broke into the truck, but the truck's car alarm went off, which caused Grant to flee from the truck area and escape in his Chevy Impala, driven by a woman later identified as 30-year-old Megan Forbes. The couple headed toward East Colonial Drive, it says here. They drove through 2 gates on the East River High School property while the school was closed. I would think it would be closed at 2:30 or 2:45 in the morning. The police caught up with the duo and arrested them both. They found a baby alligator sitting in the back seat of the getaway car. The mouth was taped up because you don't want that thing to bite you.
Oh boy.
You know, and they can't. The clamping down is what's strong. The opening, they're very weak. So if you tape them up with electrical tape, even it's like you're
They
fine.
can't open. All
They
right,
can't.
Go ahead.
So Belcher told the police that he had acquired said alligator from, quote, a friend, unquote, and he was going to release it into the water. Mr. Belcher was charged with burglary of a conveyance, trespassing on school grounds, and alligator poaching. He was held in the county clink with a $1,750 bond. Police also report that upon being led away, Belcher was heard under his breath saying, "See you later, alligator." The gator has not returned phone calls made to verify this account. I'll be damned.
So, okay, so I have a silly question, you know, me.
Of course.
Did they free the alligator, at least take the tape off and let the baby go?
No, they took him to the restaurant and fried him up.
Oh, stop it.
Yep.
This is the nonsense I put up with
Tastes
here.
like chicken, Kayden. Tastes like chicken.
So I can vouch for that. So I'll tell you a silly little story. I'm a vegan, but years ago I have a lot of friends in Australia, and we've gone back and forth. And I always say, when in Rome, do as the Romans.
Those are crocodiles, different.
So, okay, but it tasted just like chicken. I did a taste and spit because I'm vegan, so I had to spit it out. And they had them on skewers, and it did taste like chicken. But
See?
all right. So thank you, Kayden. This was awesome. Listen, I just want to wish you the best of luck in your endeavors and what you're doing.
And how?
Please don't stop.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
No trouble. Have fun. Do good things. We'll catch you on Facebook here and there. And like I said, we'll see if this whole indie artist thing may have some teeth to it. And we'll put one in touch with the other and run it up the pole, see how it flaps. How about that?
Keep us posted, Kayden.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Love you, kiddo.
Alrighty.
Take us out, Doc G.
Not to the ball game. Thank you.